Shalom, family. Good to see you here. By now, I'm sure you've been hearing even a lot more about 3I Atlas. And I'm telling you, the chatter is going through the roof. They are freaking out over this thing because it is acting as if it is some type of space vehicle and not a comet, not an asteroid. In fact, it's not showing any signs of being that. It has lights, but they said these are lights from within. So it's not like the glow you would see from a comet or an asteroid. This is totally different. Now, at first, they said it was the size of Manhattan. Now they're saying it's half the size of the sun. So this thing is massive. So more than 7 miles long, and they're estimating 3.5 miles wide. So this thing is huge. It is huge. And it's emitting carbon dioxide. The same thing you would emit from your vehicle, because that's coming from your engine. So it has like carbon coming from it. Well, that's the same thing that's happening with 3I Atlas. It's carbon, and carbon does not come from asteroids or comets. They do not emit any type of carbon dioxide at all. So they know whatever's coming, it's something different. But you know what, y'all? They are freaking out. And the Most High apparently want them to see this thing, because if he didn't, they wouldn't see it at all. He would make sure they won't see it. But there's a reason why the Most High is allowing this thing to be seen. You know, we may not fully understand, but I don't care what anybody say, he's in control of this whole thing. I really truly believe it. And just the sight of it is freaking them completely out. It seems like each video that comes out, I'm just seeing them frightened. They are really scared, and we are in the time of judgment. We absolutely are. And there's no turning back. Their judgment, you can't turn the judgment off. It is here and it's going to happen. So, it appears that it's still headed this way. They're still saying it won't be until it gets around the sun, which they're estimating um, in October, that they'll get a good look at it. Now, it's possible that it could accelerate and go even faster and get here ahead of that time, but this is what they are estimating. So, all right. So you're just going to hear people talking about it, and it's going to be a lot of people responding to it and giving their opinions about it. That's all. But the bottom line is, whatever it is, I just prayed. I said, Father, please, whatever comes, I hope it does not cause any harm to your children. Please keep us safe. No matter what comes upon this earth, please keep your children safe. So, y'all, let me share my screen and we'll get started. Yeah. I mean, look, anything can happen. That's why we must be ready for anything. We must be ready for anything, y'all. And if you've been on this walk for a while, then many of us are probably as prepared as we ever going to be. You know, those that are not on this walk, boy, I don't know what to say about that, but that person don't have any kind of covering. So they really will be in danger. Okay, y'all, please give me a one if you can see my screen. Yeah, they said half the size of the sun, and you see how big the sun is, right? You see how the sun is huge. You see how big it is. Thank you.
Here I am just listening about the three-eye atlas thing, okay? You know, the comet or whatever interstellar space object way bigger than Oumuamua or whatever the word is. Anyways, not only like the other thing from 2017 went into our like orbital plane and then out. This one is slowly gliding in and will conjunct like Mars and Venus and Jupiter before it leaves, like within the next several months, okay? It's got a plasma core. Plasma is a lot stronger than gravity, and I am sure that is going to do some crazy stuff to the earth, like, and the planets around it. So let's keep our eyes open and our minds open about this.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Have you guys seen this? Interstellar Comet 3i Atlas transforms into a giant cosmic rainbow in trip new telescope image. First, it was like this. Now it is like this, like a rainbow worm. I don't know what you think about it, but this does not look like a comet. The 3i Atlas was first discovered on July of this year, but it is not the first interstellar object that we find here in our solar system. The first object was Oumuamua, discovered by a telescope in Hawaii in 2017. The second one was Borisov, and it was found out in 2019. Now we have the 3i Atlas, which was discovered by the Atlas telescope. That's why it has this name. But the thing about this one is that it behaves completely different and the observations are different too. I don't know what you guys are going to be doing this year's Halloween, but I have a very nice suggestion because this object will be passing near Earth on the 31st of October 2025 on the exact Halloween day. And I don't know if you guys believe in aliens, because if you don't believe in aliens, this is the time for you to reconsider your thoughts and beliefs. Is traveling in a humongous speed of 130,000 miles an hour. That is almost 210,000 kilometers an hour. And by the 31st of October, it's going to be passing only 2 astronomical units from Earth. So, what that means? That means we can observe it. But what haunts me is not the 31st of October. What haunts me is that after this date, this object is going to be passing behind the sun, meaning that we are not going to be able to observe it during 2 months. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to be observing us. And this is the biggest concern because some scientists believe that this object is not natural. Some scientists believe that this object is artificial and it's coming to our solar system to observe us. So, once again, if you don't believe in aliens, this is the time for you to start reconsidering your thoughts.
So, a mysterious object from deep space is racing toward our solar system at 130,000 miles per hour, and Harvard scientists think it might be nuclear powered. This isn't science fiction. The third confirmed visitor from beyond our solar system is showing characteristics that have researchers questioning everything. And that's not even the worst part. This thing appears to be generating its own light, like coming from itself. And this simply is not something that happens in nature. It's something that comets just don't naturally do. And it's also perfectly timed to visit multiple planets with odds so impossible, they suggest internal navigation. And what I'm about to tell you is going to blow your mind. So my name's Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway. I'm also publisher of the Illinois Review and a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. On July 1st, NASA detected something extraordinary, an object called 3i Atlas hurtling through space from beyond our own solar system. And scientists first thought it was just a comet, and they were wrong. It's producing its own light. Check this out.
That we do have is an analysis of the brightness profile of the glow of 3I Atlas. And have a look at this figure, something that's actually a little difficult to interpret, and I have a hard time interpreting it also. But the one thing to keep in mind is how steep the slope is. It is a projected power law slope of -3, which implies a three-dimensional emissivity profile with a radial power law slope of -4. Now, what all that garbage means is that this object has a much steeper light curve than we have observed in natural comets. So together with a colleague named Eric Quito, Avi Loeb realized that the observed slope of -4 is consistent with an alternative model in which the dust outflow around 3I Atlas is being illuminated by a central source. In other words, this object is creating its own light, not
That is just insane. So Harvard's Dr. Avi Loeb, and I know I butchered the name, guys. I am horrible with names. Everybody's like, you can't pronounce his name right, you shouldn't be doing this. Well, I suck at names. So everybody sucks at something, and I suck at names. So Harvard's Dr. Avi Loeb published findings showing 3I Atlas may be generating its own light source. And Hubble images reveal a mysterious forward-facing glow from the object's nucleus, not typical sunlight reflection. And Loeb's calculations show this requires an internal energy source, like a possibly being nuclear powered, I guess. Unlike every comet we've studied, 3I Atlas shows no gas molecules, no ice sublimation, no tail pointing away from the sun. Instead, it leads like literally a leading glow towards the sun, as if something is actively pushing particles ahead of its path. The trajectory is even stranger. This object will visit Mars on October 3rd, when Venus and Jupiter, and Loeb calculated the probability of such perfectly timed encounters to just at 0.0005%. That's statistically impossible. So what do you think? Could this be the first confirmed alien technology? Let me know in the comments. Like, I really want to know. What do you guys think? And it starts getting suspicious from here, though. On October 29th, 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to the sun, but it will be completely hidden behind our star from Earth's view. Our most powerful telescopes won't be able to observe it during its most critical phase. And Loeb suggests this timing could be intentional. And Dr. Loeb created the Loeb scale, rating objects from 0 for natural, from 10 to confirm alien tech. He rates 3I Atlas at a 6, meaning 60% chance we're looking at an extraterrestrial engineering. And the government's response? Complete silence. No briefings, no transparency, nothing. And Americans deserve to know, and everybody on Earth deserves to know what's approaching our planet. So if you guys found this video valuable, follow for more truth. The mainstream media is not going to tell you. Like, we're growing, so like every single like, comment, and everything else really helps tremendously. And here's what every American needs to understand. Whether 3I Atlas is a space rock or alien technology, our government's silence is unacceptable. We have Harvard scientists publishing papers about potential nuclear-powered spacecraft, yet our leaders say nothing. If this represents advanced technology from another civilization, what does that mean for American sovereignty or the world sovereignty, our military superiority, our ability to defend the homeland? These aren't science fiction questions anymore. The Trump administration would handle this differently, but Trump has always been transparent about UFO phenomena and committed to declassifying hidden information, right? I mean, I think so. I don't know. You tell me. He understands Americans are strong enough to handle the truth. I guess. I haven't seen the Epstein files. And as this object approaches and disappears behind the sun, remember that knowledge is power. So stay informed, ask questions, and demand accountability. Never let the establishment convince you that you're not entitled to know what's happening above our country. So keep watching the skies and fighting for transparency. The future, quite literally, could depend on it. Have a great one.
People keep asking me if this comet is an alien, and I'm quite sure that it's an alien comet. Let's investigate. Let's start with what we know about its orbit. You can see it down here in blue. Jupiter's orbit is in orange. You got Mars in red, the rest of the inner planets, and the sun, of course, is at the center. Immediately, you notice that all of the planets' orbits are very circular. They're not perfect circles. They are ellipses, but they have eccentricities that are close to 0 because they are close to circular. An eccentricity that was 1 would represent an object with what's called a hyperbolic orbit, meaning that it is going to escape the gravity of the sun. Comet 3I Atlas has an eccentricity of 6. This would be unheard of for an object that originated in our solar system. Next, notice that from this perspective, all of the planets appear to be orbiting the sun counterclockwise. But you'll realize that this comet here is moving in what we call retrograde motion. It appears to be moving in the clockwise direction. Again, this is not what you would expect from an object that was originally in our solar system. All the planets move counterclockwise because our solar system, when it formed, had some initial angular momentum, and that has been conserved. This is just physics. That's strike 2. Strike 3, this thing is moving really fast, over 100,000 miles relative to the sun. However, nobody is confused by that. Scientists are not stunned by its relentless speed, I assure you. Consider driving on the highway at 70 miles per hour. And a car passes you by at 75 miles per hour. It doesn't look like that car is moving that fast because relative to you, they're only moving 5 miles per hour faster. Now compare that to walking next to a car that blows by at 70 miles per hour. That's terrifying. Now imagine you're back in your car moving 70 miles per hour north and a car moving the opposite direction, south, at exactly 70 miles per hour. From your perspective, it looks like they're moving at 140 miles per hour, which is very fast. That's just because velocity is relative. It's not weird that that comet is moving at 130,000 miles per hour. It's just more evidence that it came from somewhere else. Imagine an alien system with an alien Jupiter-like planet could easily eject a comet that got too close. And the escape velocity from that distance may only be 30 or 40,000 miles per hour from the perspective of that system. But if that system had some systemic velocity that was already moving in our direction, that comet, once it encounters the solar system, will appear from our vantage point to be moving much faster than it even was in its own system. That's 3 strikes already. Without a shadow of a doubt, this object clearly came from somewhere else. It is clearly an alien to our solar system. But can we prove that it is indeed a comet? Checking out this paper, the preprint is up on arXiv. Because this comet is approaching the sun, it is reflecting sunlight. And what they did was they imaged that reflection spectrum in a couple different color bands or different wavelengths of light. Then they compared those observations to the reflection spectra of known comets. And you can see these data points follow a line, a D-type or Z-type comet. This is going to be a cosmic dirt ball. It's kind of reddish. It's made up of the stuff that comets are made up of. Importantly, this does not look like an object that is reflecting light in the way that some exotic metals would. Something perhaps that you would expect on an alien spaceship. You know, there's an old saying in Tennessee. I know it's in Texas. It's probably in Tennessee too. It goes, fool me once. Shame on you.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
So it's looking a whole lot like we have a massive spaceship that's headed towards our Earth that's going to be here either in October or November. It's kind of flip-flopping back and forth. And then, of course, we have the 2-week thing that's come out of I can't find where. I can't find out where. But Avi Loeb has done so many interviews at this point that I'm officially leaning towards the spaceship side of this because he's saying that it's like 20 kilometers, is around 12 and a half miles, which is the size of Manhattan Island. It is the size of Manhattan. That is wild. On top of that, it also is made of some sort of substance. They don't know what it's made of. They can't figure out what it's not like any other comet that's ever existed that we've noticed since we've started monitoring the skies, or at least that's been documented since we started monitoring the skies. Ooh, so I gotta come down. I'm very excited about this. But it is reflecting. So we have a reflective object that looks like it's probably technological in nature. And then it also doesn't have a trail. It doesn't have a cometary trail. So just like all the other comets.
Hey, so why does nobody talk about the fact that the interstellar object 3I Atlas that's headed towards Earth is making its own light? It's not reflecting sunlight like normal comets. It's luminous. It's only the 3rd interstellar visitor that we have ever had. So we really don't know what the hell these things are about. So could it be a comet? Is it a spaceship? Is it the blue star Kachina? Because unlike normal comets that just reflect sunlight, Avi Loeb, a Harvard astronomer, says that this 3I Atlas is making its own light. Its nucleus has light coming out of it. Put it in perspective, Avi Loeb says it would take about 10 gigawatts to power something this large. That is about 10 nuclear power plants on this rock. It's like a cosmic glow stick that runs on nuclear energy somehow. Here's the kicker. The brightness profile looks weird because instead of a halo around it, the nucleus itself seems to be glowing, which has some people whispering that it might be a craft instead of a comet. Or again, like I said, the blue star Kachina. Listen, the Hopi Nation in Arizona say before the great purification of the earth, before the fifth world can begin, a blue star will appear from the heavens, signaling the rebirth, basically. Think about the timing right now. We are seeing global floods, global fires, political chaos, mass extinctions of animals. The world is in crisis already. And then we got a blue star coming from the heavens. Almost like it's checking in on our progress. Are we ready for the fifth world yet? What do you think about 3i Atlas? Do you think it's just a comet flying through space, or do you think it's the blue star Kachina? And if it's the blue star Kachina, what comes next? What does the fifth world look like? We'll talk about that next time. Let's put our ancient alien hats on for 1 second, because what if this massive object coming from deep interstellar space is not just a rock flying through space, but it's a planet bringing back the Anunnaki? NASA is calling this 3i-Atlas. Ancient texts may have called it Nibiru, though. Look, these ancient Mesopotamian gods, the Anunnaki, were supposed to have came from a planet that is in deep space that only makes its way around Earth every few thousand years. According to Zechariah Sitchin, that planet is known as Nibiru. That's where the Anunnaki are from. He wrote a whole book about it. It's called The 12th Planet. Anyways, he said that the return of Nibiru would mark the return of the gods, or of aliens, or both, or, I don't know, bring it on either way. Let's talk about 3i Atlas. It's the third interstellar object. It's not from our solar system. It's moving very fast and at a very weird angle. Here's the gag. Unlike other interstellar objects that we have detected, it does not have a tail. There's no outgassing. There's no signature flare as it approaches the sun, just quiet movement through space like something is conserving energy. Get this, ancient Sumerian texts talk about a planet of crossing will return at a time of great upheaval on Earth. So wars, famine, everything going on. So is this just a rock flying through space, or is it the return of the gods? Either way, you can call it 3i-Atlas, you can call it Nibiru, you can call it a rock. It's coming.
I am so effing tired about talking about 3i Atlas and whether or not it's hostile or friendly or aliens or a meteor or a comet. But on this topic, have you seen the alleged photos that the James Webb Telescope have put out claiming to be the real image of what 3i Atlas looks like? No? You haven't? Okay, well, good thing I'm here. Take a look. Clearly, we were all wrong because it's obviously Godzilla headed to Earth. The amount of insane photos that I've seen of 3i Atlas now, from little aliens captaining the ship to it producing rainbow-colored lights. Not to mention every day there's a new story, like it's changing directions, it's communicating with governments. It's a lot to keep up with, but where do you stand? Are you on the it's hostile and coming to destroy us, or are you welcoming them to Earth?
Yesterday, one of my favorites, if not my favorite creator on this app, Emily at Divine Magic, touched on a topic that a lot of us are talking about right now, and that is the potential hostile interstellar object that entered our solar system. Now, Emily is an interdimensional communicator, so she can communicate with aliens, angels, interdimensional beings, extraterrestrials, you name it, she can communicate with it. And she's probably one of the most pure and loving energies that I've ever felt privileged to connect with. In her video, just like my intuition and this similar belief system that her and I have, I didn't feel hostility when I read all about this object. And during her communication from yesterday's video, you'll see the answers that she gets says it's not hostile, because if it was, it wouldn't be such a dramatic appearance in the sky. It would be more of a secret invasion or a secret attack. Now, watch her video, because I don't want to missay anything that she said, because what she puts out there will just make you not only look at life different, but feel better. So give her a follow. And the only hostility and the only hostile ones are the current humans on this planet.
Well, just before we talk to our guests and begin our discussion, let's just delve a bit deeper and take a look at one of the stories that we just mentioned there, the mystery interstellar object currently hurtling through our solar system. And here is an AI-generated film imagining the object's journey through space. Well, that is pretty impressive. Let's discuss it then with Dr. Jennifer Millard, as I said, an astronomer at Fifth Star Labs. and also Samir Malal of the AI creative company One Day, and you put that together. I think it took you a couple of weeks.
Yes.
I mean, some people might say that would take months and months to make. How do you do it?
It would. So, you know, it's a combination of the tools that are now available, but also our talent as creatives, our experience, our knowledge, you know, and our ability to use these tools to make stuff that would have been impossible before.
You guys, the Hopi prophecy, how could I forget? Okay, the blue star Kachina, three-eye atlas. Is this the ninth and final sign that we are transitioning from the fourth world into the fifth? Listen, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm about to show you the first 8 signs that the Hopi people prophesized. You could be the judge if these have already come true or not. So the Hopi people believe that the first world was destroyed by fire, comet, asteroid, something along those lines. The second world was destroyed by ice, the Great Ice Age, and the third world was destroyed by flood, which puts us in the fourth world. Now, this is Prophecy Rock, and this is a whole big long story in itself, so we won't get into all that. But basically, at this point here, there's a split, and this is where the purification process starts and the transition into the fifth world. The last and final sign before we start to transition into the fifth world is the blue star Kachina. Now, Kachinas are spirit messengers between gods and humans. Prophecy number 1, white-skinned people carrying thundersticks, aka most people translated that to guns. Spinning wheels with voices in them, of course, most people attribute that to cars, wagons. Beasts that look somewhat like buffalo but with long horns, cattle. Snakes of iron would spread across the land, railroads. Remember, all of this was passed through generations long before any of this ever existed. Any of this sounding true yet? A giant spider web would crisscross across the land, telephone power lines, the internet, rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun, concrete roads. Young people with long hair would come to the Hopi land to learn native ways. The 60s and 70s. The last and final sign that marks the beginning of the end of the fourth world, a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth will fall with a great crash, appearing as a blue star, and this will mark the end of the Hopi ceremonies. Something else they said that marks the end of the fourth world is white man will battle with people in other lands, and specifically with those who possessed the first light of wisdom. And some people have attributed that to the Middle East. So what do you guys think? Anything in the Hopi prophecy sound like it came true?
Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. Currently, there is an interstellar object passing through our solar system, the third ever detected. This is 3I Atlas. 3 stands for the third, I for interstellar. Atlas is the observatory network that first discovered this interstellar visitor. It is sweeping through exactly along the ecliptic plane, which is quite bizarre. The past 2 interstellar visitors, Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019, passed through at very high inclinations and only interacted as a result with the solar wind heliospheric current sheet for just a short amount of time. But because 3I Atlas is coming in nearly aligned with the ecliptic plane, it's going to be interacting with the inner solar system, the outer solar system, the sun, everything in our solar system electromagnetically for a long period of time. Now, as you see here in this animation, we see 3I Atlas passing by Mars. It has a very close approach to Mars and also Jupiter. Mars is first, that is around October 1st, where it makes its closest approach, and then it'll be very close to Jupiter around March and April of 2026. It makes a superior conjunction with the sun as viewed from Earth on around October 23rd of this year, 2025. And that, in fact, has some very interesting planetary geometry to it. And so there's a lot at play with this interstellar object because of its unique orbital properties. It's also traveling incredibly fast at about 58 kilometers per second right now. At perihelion, it'll be traveling its fastest around 68 kilometers per second. This is much faster than the other 2 interstellar objects which were found. And that high orbital velocity is pretty conclusive proof that it originated from outside of the outer solar system, which we call the Oort cloud. Still hypothetical to some degree, but you don't accelerate things that velocity, we think, from the Oort cloud, meaning that it was launched from some sort of star and solar system forming region, flung out probably at an early stage. Who knows how long it's been traveling through the galaxy effectively. It has this reddish tint, which is what these sort of objects that enter into interstellar space take on. And it has this very wide plasma coma. So it's surrounded by dust, gas, and plasma as a result of it now being in the solar system. And that's very important because, again, it's interacting with the electrodynamic system of our sun, the heliosphere, and more. So in this video, we're going to discuss what we may expect from 3I Atlas coming into our inner solar system, doing a pretty close swing to the sun in October. I think that's very likely to dramatically ramp up solar activity. And we'll also discuss this from a consciousness.
So I've had a lot of requests for an update on this. So if you have not already heard, we are hearing that there is a bizarre glowing object that is baffling scientists, that is hurtling towards Earth as we speak. Now, take a look at some of the headlines coming out with me. Comet 3I Atlas could be nuclear powered, Harvard scientist says. I'm going to get you all the details on it. Nuclear powered, very odd. Now, listen, Harvard professor theorizes a nuclear powered alien spacecraft the size of Manhattan is hurtling towards our solar system. They're saying it's moving at a speed of 130,000 miles an hour. And I'm going to share with you some of the things they're saying that are very odd about this that make it unlikely to be a comet or an asteroid. And like I said, a lot of people have been saying, Steve, can you give us details on this? Because this is circulating around social media. They're saying that this is a wake-up call for humanity. Scientists wants the 3I Atlas to be an alien spaceship. Here's why. This coming out today, August 25th, 2025. I'm going to share with you the details and what do we know so far about 3I Atlas. And this is the scientist, Avi Loeb. And I'm going to give you the latest information as to what we know. When they're saying this will be entering our solar system, they're saying it's coming very close. The odds and the likelihood of some of the things that are unfolding, they're saying it is pretty incredible. And take a look, NASA giving some updates on this as well. Comet 3I Atlas, and they've got some images. They're saying it's an interstellar comet, but some are speculating that it could be something else. So I'm going to share with you the latest and let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with this scientist? Is this something else? Maybe an alien spacecraft, or they're saying maybe it's some sort of craft that has been sent out by another life form, or there's something more to it than just a comet. If you agree with the scientist, put yes. If you think no, this is just some space material flying through space, and the odds of it coming around the route that it is, they're saying is like 1 in 20,000 or something. It's very peculiar. They're saying it's going to go by 3 planets in our solar system. It's going to come at a trajectory where they were not able to see it until just recently. They said around June or July. They're also saying that it will be complete opposite of the sun, so Earth will have trouble observing it. And they're saying the way that it is coming in, it's the size of Manhattan, it's giving off its own source of light, and it doesn't have a tail like a comet. So we're going to get into all the details, but they're speculating there's a very slim chance that the...
Did you hear that yesterday 3I Atlas sent a message to space, and it is throwing the scientific community into a tizzy, and you won't believe what the message says. I'm going to tell you, but do you think we should respond back to it, or do you think it's dangerous? So as you know, 3I Atlas is that interstellar object that is passing right by Earth in November. And the world's top scientists have been saying, hey, look, this doesn't seem like an asteroid. It doesn't look like a comet. It actually looks like it may be an alien craft, an alien vehicle from a different galaxy. Well, the satellite dishes in Chile yesterday received the message, and the head scientist there said it was like a Morse code-esque message. It was radio frequency, and we didn't know how to interpret it or crack the code, is what he said. So they ended up plugging it into ChatGPT and saying, hey, can you solve this? And it did, and it spit out what the message is saying. And it says, hello, friends. Don't be worried. Don't be scared. We watch Earth. We watch you. We return to elevate Earth. and then it went silent for a bit, and at the end it said, "Hang tight, friends. Hang tight, friends," twice in a row. And so my question is, are they friendly? Do we respond and say, "Hey, when are you coming back? Is there anything we should know?" Or do we just stay radio silent? But this changes everything about humanity's future and what we know, that we are not alone.
Something unbelievable is happening with the interstellar object called 3I Atlas. This city-sized traveler is racing toward our solar system, and scientists just discovered it is giving off pure nickel gas without any iron. To us, that might sound small, but in space, nickel and iron always travel together like twins. This is the first time ever we have seen nickel by itself, and the pattern looks more like what you would expect from a factory than from a natural space rock. And that is on top of all the other strange things about this object. It is made of mostly carbon dioxide instead of water. It is shooting out cyanide gas in huge bursts, and it is flying perfectly in line with our solar system. Nothing about this makes sense. That is why scientists are calling it one of the strangest visitors we have ever seen, and all eyes are now on late October 2025, when it passes behind the sun, to find out if it is just a bizarre comet or something completely new. On October 29th, 2025, the interstellar object 3I Atlas will slip behind the sun, hidden from every telescope on Earth. Normally, objects like this whip around the sun and continue their path unchanged with the same speed and the same direction. But imagine if it does not. What if it slows down, hovers, or suddenly shifts its trajectory toward Earth? That would defy every law of physics we know. Scientists say it is just a comet, but unnatural movement like that would mean intelligence is guiding it. Like and save this video, because the moment it vanishes behind the sun is when the real mystery begins.
Okay, now this is getting very serious. 3I Atlas is now confirmed to be releasing CO2. That's right, carbon dioxide, which comes from carbon life, like us, is being released from 3I Atlas. And not only that, but it is not releasing H2O like a normal comet. Normally, comets would release H2O because they are typically a ball of ice. And when they release that H2O, usually that creates a trail. Well, guess what? 3I Atlas does not have a trail. So even though the organization that starts with an N is saying that this is just a comet, well, everything that we know about this 3I Atlas contradicts that, especially the fact that it is releasing CO2, which could possibly mean that this object has life on it. But what kind of life would that be? And would it really be the alien threat that the Harvard astronomer, the chair of Harvard astronomy, said that it would be? Well, I already have multiple videos up on that, so go check that out.
All right. Y'all, like I said, be prepared for anything. We don't know what's going to happen. And I'm trying not to do a lot of speculating about it because, we don't know. And the Most High said he's not going to tell us the time and date of his arrival. Now, they don't know what it is because, if you really think about it in the book of Revelation, um, the Most High did not give John the time or date. He didn't say he just told us what was going to happen, but not a time or date. But there is a reason, and I'm going to stick with this one. There's a reason why the Most High is allowing them to see this. He's allowing them to see it. And it is freaking them out, and it reminds me of the Bible when it said it would come like, a thief in the night. And that's how this thing entered the solar system. It came out of nowhere. Nobody saw this thing coming. Now, the reason why it is I3, it's because it's the third interstellar object that has entered into our solar system. That's where the 3I comes from. So it's the third interstellar object. Atlas, because this thing is massive. It is massive. And y'all, you think about a ship the size of Manhattan. You know how many people you could get in that ship from this earth? A ship that size? I'm serious, y'all. Do you realize how many people you could put in that thing? You could probably put most of the population in there. That is huge. And yeah, so the way it came into the solar system, like I said, it reminds me of that scripture, it'll come like a thief in the night. And that's exactly what it did. It came from another solar system into the darkness of our solar system. And people are freaking out because, it's an unknown thing. It's unknown. And look, Esau is a control freak, but he can't control this thing. He can't control it. Yeah. Well, look, y'all, the Gentile world got to end, y'all. It's got to end. This thing can't go on. Look how badly ran it is. I mean, it's horrible. It's a monstrosity. This place must end. Esau don't have a future. We got the future. Us Israelites, the future is ours. They don't have no future. Their future is slavery. Our future is bright. Our future is a new covenant. Our future is our prosperity and getting all of our inheritance back. So we got nothing but all the reason to look forward to our future. We should all be excited about our future. I know I am. You know, Esau, I can understand why they're frightened and they're scared because they know with this thing coming, they could lose it all. And they know it. They're feeling it. So we shall see. We shall think. I believe, and like I said, I've been praying to the Most High, whatever this is, please keep your children safe on this earth. Don't let the harm come to us. And I know he hears me. I know he does. Mm. What if it's not a hologram? So let's say what if it's not? Let me use your scenario in the opposite way. What if it's not? Okay, and whether it's a hologram or it's real, we can't do nothing about it. We can't do nothing about it because we're not in control of it. So whatever happens, I'm not going to be frightened. But if other people want to be frightened, you go right ahead. I'm going to stay prayed up with my Heavenly Father, and I'm not going to be frightened. That's where I stand. No, I mean, if it's a hologram, no. If it's real or a hologram, that's how you should be. Don't be afraid. The only thing we should fear is our Heavenly Father, because He's the only one that can really, truly destroy us. He's the only one that can do it. Yeah, I agree with you, Brittany James. We are closer to the end. And I think this is really telling of that. We are closer to the end. We really, truly are. And I think that is why Esau is in such a panic because he knows if this thing makes it to Earth and it's not just anything, but it is the return of the earth back to the Israelites. Oh yeah, they gonna have a meltdown. They gonna have a meltdown. They have a lot to lose. They got more to lose in this whole thing than we do. Just always remember that. Mhm. So y'all, I mean, look, we're almost in September now. October is not that far away. November technically is not that far away. So it's not like it's going to be a long wait. It's not going to be a long wait for whatever happens, you know? But whatever does happen, no matter what, good, bad, or indifference, y'all, if you haven't been praying, pray. Step up your prayers. Pray more than once. Pray more than twice. Keep talking to our Heavenly Father and just keep asking for him to keep the covenant. I always ask him to keep the covenant and please remember our covenant with you. And just cleave now more than ever. That's all we need to do. As far as these Gentiles, y'all, the Gentiles we're around, they're not cleaving, and we can't be concerned about that. Their fate is in the hands of the Most High. Some are cleaving, but you got to understand the majority of these Gentiles, the Hamites, Esau, Moab, they're not going to cleave. They're not. And we're not seeing them cleave. We're not. And that says a lot right there. That tells me out of the Gentiles, very few are going to make it. Very few. It's probably, they're like definitely the needle in the haystack because the majority of them will perish or they're going to be headed into slavery. The majority. Oh, trust me, when we get to the very, very end, they gonna wish they had a treated us better. They gonna wish they had a done it. You watch. They gonna wish they had treated us a lot better than they did. But I'm sorry, you can't take it back. You can't take it back, and you can't erase what was done, like Donald Trump trying to take the history and whitewash it. You can't make over the past. You just can't do it. And it doesn't matter what he tries to whitewash, it does not change what happened. It will never change what happened. So let him do whatever. We don't care. We don't care. And let him take all the objects he wants out of the museum. We don't worship or we don't idolize those objects and we don't worship any objects. So let them take all of them out as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. Yep. The time of the Gentiles is over. It is over. hmm Yeah. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. So, this might be the final thing I do for today. Tomorrow, we got our Bible study, and I do have a few things that I might put out for tomorrow ahead of Sabbath. And then, of course, we'll do Bible study. And like I said, just pray and stay prayed up with the Most High. I don't believe we have anything to fear, but we still cleave to Him no matter what. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Shalom, family.